part 2 of the not a global warming thing. I want to talk a little bit about narcissism. I need to learn to enunciate. I've watched a lot of my videos and I realize that I speak faster than I should, and I need to enunciate, which it's only going to make me better, right? Anyways, narcissism. Most people think of narcissism as something that people take a lot of pictures of themselves and they only think about themselves. It is way deeper than that. That's kind of a childish thing you're thinking about. Narcissism is childish, but it's also very damaging. I plan on... Well, I was writing a book on this, and I kind of lost motivation for it, but I need to get it out there. It's called The Eggshell Carpet. But I want to talk about it in the videos as well. Maybe to help you boys out there understand what maybe you're looking at. Because it's hard to see a narcissist. They're very friendly. They're very nice. They're vampires they can get you to invite them in. But we see a lot of the traits at a national scale right now of what a person that's got a narcissist partner deals with at home, right? Gaslighting. Gaslighting is the biggest thing that you see right now. Gaslighting is pretty much, putting your ideas and saying it's somebody else's ideas, right? You're passing the buck. And there's a couple different ways of doing this. For the weaker-minded, what you do is you repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You just keep repeating the same thing. And then these other people start repeating it. They start chanting it. They're like, and now all of a sudden, all these other people are repeating it. And now the person that started the chant, they don't have to say it ever again because now the people are saying it. And then whenever they say, well, you started this, I'm like, no, they're the ones saying it. It's not me. And it was never me. They're the ones saying it. It's their idea. And you see that repeated over and over and over. And you can even watch the media do this in real time, where all the news media stations repeat the same phrases. Politicians repeat the same phrases over and over and over again. It's a brainwashing because they need other people to repeat it because they need it to be your idea. And as soon as it's your idea, then it's the will of the people, and they're just doing the will of the people's will, right? You have to see through this. You have to be a dissenter. You have to think for yourself and realize what these other people are saying and see the other people around them rising up and chanting. They're all smelling each other's breath is what I call it. They're all breathing each other's air. And so we've seen that lots of times over the past 4 years. All the politicians and the media all band together with one common message, and they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and then all of a sudden everybody's repeating it, and then everybody's like, well, it wasn't us that said it, they were saying it first, we just picked up on it and made a new story. No, that's bullshit. It's 100% bullshit. That's a brown flag on the play, 15-yard penalty, repeat first down, right? And so that's that one thing. The second thing is the constant attacks. Now, you'll see this if you're in a narcissist relationship. One thing you're going to notice is that anything you do causes conflict. The thing is that when you notice that how this other person, and it can be man or woman, okay, so this isn't just a woman thing by any means. I think there's probably more male narcissists than there are women, but they're both nefarious nonetheless. They're all vampires. But what you're going to notice is that it doesn't matter if you left crumbs on the counter, or if you talked on the phone with your best friend, or you were 10 minutes late home from work. The reaction will always be the same. Now, the reason will always be different, and even when you address it, it's like, well, it doesn't matter what I do. You react the same way. You do the same things. You yell and scream and shame and this and that, and it's just a repeated thing. And then all they do is stack, well, you left crumbs on the counter last time, and this time you were talking to a friend, and this time you were late for work, and now every time you get yelled at, the stack just keeps going higher and higher and higher, right? I call this every blade of grass being a sword, right? Because it doesn't matter what is out there, it will be a weapon against you, but how they attack you is always the same. It is 100% the same. It's so uncreative. It is, excuse me, COVID. It is uncreative, and if you're in these relationships with these people, you'll see this, you know. And this is when you need to realize that I need to not be stressed out about this. Well, Trump has been dealing with this in real time on public stage, on on TV, every single day for years. And God damn it, that guy is not a strong man. He is just weathered through it, you know. And it's very impressive because it can be stressful, and it's stressful up until you realize that you're dealing with they're mental children. They really are children. And once you realize that you never argue with a child, it does make it easier to deal with these people. You can look at them and you're like, you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. You're insane. And that's all it is. Right? So, we're talking about narcissism on a global, on real-time TV. And this is if you've ever lived in a household like this, and I know I'm being very shallow because this is a very in-depth topic, and it could take, this could be a 50-part series on dealing down with what narcissism is, what it really is, and what some of the signs and symptoms are. However, if you've lived with this in your life, you will realize that everything that we see on the TV, in the news, how the politicians and how the media treat Trump and their, and especially anybody opposing them is treated the same way. The attacks are exactly the same. Everybody's consistent with their messaging. They're brainwashing you. It's always another war, a war that you have to fight. When people talk about the book 1984, I think I might even have it around here somewhere. There was always that war in the background. Everybody had to fight because there was always the war. Eurasia and whoever else. And like, oh, we're not in a war with them now. We're in a war with these people now. And that war never happened because we're friends. And it's just. It's a testament to how childish our politicians are, and it's also a testament to how unawake people are. When, especially this woke culture, they're the most unawake people out there. They are part of this problem. They're the ones that are waiting to repeat the words of somebody else, so they can be the little vampire minions out there, and hopefully maybe one day they'll get good favors because they were a good vampire minion. And they're pawns in all of this, and it's the sad thing about it. And I'm mentioning everybody in this. I'm mentioning the feminists. I'm mentioning Black Lives Matter. I'm mentioning Antifa. I'm mentioning anybody that goes under all these woke culture or subcultures, and how they demonize other people. Because when you demonize somebody else and you demonize these tribes, what are you doing? You're always keeping a war alive. We can see that in feminism for the past 40 years. I mean, feminism won 40 years ago. They won everything they were looking for. But now it was more wars, different wars. Keep these women engaged, because what is behind all of this? Well, there's probably a lot of money behind this, right? And you always have to fight these wars. Another trait of a narcissist is that they have to one-up themselves. They have to one-up other people, and they have to one-up themselves. And you see this a lot, too, where these things escalate and escalate and escalate. Whereas even nowadays on Amazon, I think it was on Amazon, they're selling books like I Hate Men. People, like I'm talking specifically about the feminists, about openly talking about killing men, putting men in prison, and forcing them to give these, fat blue-haired women babies, and men are just these disposable things. Men have always been disposable, for one, okay? So I don't understand why they want to make men more disposable. Because who's going to bring in the income? Anyways, you can't bring in a lot of income with feminist degrees and part-time jobs. That's all I'm saying. But in a feminist degree, well, they've only built one bridge. Take a look at how that ended. But it's the constant need for a war in the background. And this is what a narcissist is very good with, is maintaining those wars. They pit people against each other. And in the family sense, what it means is they pit kids against the other parent. They pit kids against the grandparents. They pit kids against their friends. And they pit kids against the other kids in the family. where only the mother or the father dearest is the only one that can be trusted in all of this. And just believe me, but it's always starting conflicts between other people, to keep that war alive. And that's how the narcissist keeps it going, is because if the people banded together and talked and started thinking about how things are happening, they might actually band against the narcissist and kick the narcissist out, right? Now, when you see this happening, politicians in the news media doing it right now, is that they all have the same common messaging. There's always the war. And think about how decisive people are in this country now. There are people that I've known my entire life that have told me I'm no longer their friend because I don't believe the same way they do. And it's because they're trying to fight a war because somebody else has told them to. And I would wish these people would wake up, but they're already woke. You can't wake up from being woke, right? And I honestly believe, I think I already said it, I honestly believe the wokest people out there, the people that say that they're woke, are the most asleep at the wheel, right? They are just letting other people remote control them. And as a tech support technician, I didn't mind having people on the phone and being good little, I need you to push this, I need you to type this, I need you to tell me what it says, and they're really good robots that way. And then as soon as you say you have any questions, like, I don't know what we just did, because they weren't paying attention, they were just doing what they were told, right? And now I didn't mind that because it solved problems faster, because sometimes you just don't feel like explaining things to people. Other times you do want to explain things to people because you really want them to understand, because you're like, next time you don't have to call tech support. All you have to do is this, okay? If you want to write these steps down, write them down, right? And the next time you don't have to keep calling tech support for the same thing over and over and over again because you can't remember. Well, if you can't remember, get a notebook, piece of paper, a pencil, solve the problem, right? But people like to be remote controlled because it makes it easier for them. But it's also mental laziness, right? Because I think that the irony in all this is that people have the sum of the world's knowledge at our fingertips, and we're the dumbest we've ever been because people take for granted where that knowledge came from and how that knowledge can be effectively used. You don't need to know how to critically think if you can just search and Google somebody's name or DuckDuckGo somebody's name and what words they said and repeat those words. Even if you memorize their words, it doesn't make you smarter. It just makes you somebody that can memorize some words, right? And same thing with songs. I mean, people memorize songs all day long. It doesn't make them a musician, right? So anyways, so that's the second part of how you see narcissism playing out on the world stage. So the first part was how everybody's got a consistent messaging, and then that's the gaslighting aspect. The second part is how the punishment is always the same. The reaction is always the same. No matter what it is that is being said, the reaction is always the same. It's just outrage and yelling and screaming and so forth. And then the third part is driving people away from each other, making them decisive. So you use smaller and smaller groups of people to try to control. The problem is now there's too many small groups out there, and they're eating each other. They're fighting each other because they need that war. They've been raised to believe that they have to have a war. So now you have conflicts within. They used to be in one big bubble, but they can't all can. They're getting too little of a pie of attention, so they slice themselves off into smaller bubbles with that used to be a part of that bigger bubble, but they're trying to get the same amount of attention the whole bubble was getting, but you can't because now people are picking tribes, they're picking sides of the family, who's getting the kids in the divorce, right? And so it has this idea that we always need to be in conflict. Maybe we always do need to be in conflict. I would wish that we were in conflict of ideas and solving them with debate, but they don't teach debate anymore. So anybody under the age of 25 doesn't even know what that word means. It's probably a hate word right now, for all I know. Just like men have been classified as a mental disorder. The whole species of, the whole gender of men are now just a mental disorder, and we shouldn't exist. Anyways, when we're talking about narcissism, we see those three big traits being played out on national TV every single day. And I just hope that maybe 1 out of the 10 million of you out there that are woke actually wake up. When we're talking about the Matrix, take that red pill, fall down the tube, and fall into that big vat of fucking nastiness. Somebody will be there to fucking pick you up and save you, right? And we're not talking about saving you. It's not like, oh, praise be to God, slap you on the forehead and you fall back and twitch, right? No. You need guidance. Once your eyes are awake, once your eyes are open and your brain is awake, and you actually start asking questions, you're going to realize that you're very information deficient, right? You're starved. You've been the kid kept in a cage in the basement for 10 years, and you're very malnourished, and you're barely able to survive, and you're going to find things that you don't really know how to solve problems because somebody's always done it for you. You don't know how to think critically, and so forth. But that's okay. That's okay, because there are people out there willing to show you how it can be done. We can't show you how to do it. I mean, I can demonstrate many things, myself. But I can't, just like I mentioned with tools, I can show you how a wrench works, but I can't tell you how 50 pounds or 100 pounds of force feels when you're trying to break open a rusty bolt, right? You have to have that experience yourself. You have to bust those knuckles yourself. Anyways, this is my little spiel on narcissism in the political life, and it's not even politics anymore. It's in our entire country. We're being driven by vampires, okay? And and some of the nicest personalities out there may be the vampire looking you right in the face and smiling at you, but you invited them in, so they can't go away. But the thing is that, just like a regular vampire, they can't see their own reflection, right? And that is the part of being a narcissist, is narcissists will never identify as a narcissist because they don't think that they're wrong. They can never be wrong because they are perfect in every single way. They were made perfect and made better than everybody else. And that's why vampires can't see their own reflection. So, stab them through the heart, figuratively, Show them the light. That's how you kill a vampire, right? You put light on the vampire. That's what we're seeing right now in the past few months, is that there's a lot of light on these vampires, and they're going apeshit crazy. They are on national TV going apeshit crazy. And a lot of people are scared about it. I'm like, oh my God, look at them go apeshit crazy. Trump's evil. They're all going apeshit crazy. Trump's evil. All you're seeing is a vampire burning in the sunlight. All right, that's where I'm going to end it. Until next time, I got work to do.